Hello, everyone, and welcome to SkateProud. I'm your host, Christopher Kaluza, and today we're going to be talking to former Team USA skater and international principal skater in ice shows, Wesley Campbell. I will be waiting for him to get the Instagram, request, and so I'm excited to talk to him because I've seen him compete over the years, and I've seen him do shows, and I'm excited. So, if anything, wish us luck, and we're just gonna have fun here. And hi, everyone who's waving to me. Also, I really appreciate you guys coming on live with us, and we'll be discussing certain topics from skating to show life to, coming out, and we're gonna have fun here. That's all we're gonna do. All right, there's Wesley. Hello. Hello,
What?
Wesley.
How
Oh my,
are you?
how are you?
Good. Nice to see you. It's been a little bit, huh?
I know, it's been a while, like years.
A couple of years, a little, 3, 4 years at least, right? Maybe even longer.
Yeah, probably.
Who
Like
knows?
last time
Years,
I
months.
last time I saw you, it was during a contract, and I think you were on Harmony.
Yeah, that's been 4 years nearly now.
Time flies.
Wow.
Time
Crazy.
really.
It really does.
So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I was looking through all the photos and videos and everything and just kind of like taking in just how many of us there are and what an impact it is for people to get involved and talk about hard issues and talk about, just all of the things that go into making us what we are as artists and as a community. It's like really important, I think, to support, one another and kids coming up and let them know that it's cool to be who you are.
Of course, we were the generation that made the difference, and soon the younger generation is going to make the bigger difference because they are our future.
Yeah.
So Wesley Campbell, former Team USA skater and principal skater, and you were on holiday,
Yes.
right?
This
And
was this season was my third season as a principal for Holiday on Ice.
ooh,
Yeah.
that's one of my dreams.
Really, yeah. I mean, it's been an absolute dream, more than I could have ever asked for.
That's good to hear. And you've competed nationals numerous times. And the last time I saw you compete was, I believe, 2013 nationals.
In Omaha, yes. Last
Yes, it was a very emotional program as well.
spring.
So
So yeah, um, so unique to any other nationals. I was sitting in last after the short program. I had just like the worst short ever. I didn't feel like myself. I couldn't feel my legs, and yeah, the free skate was just kind of like this go for broke moment. Nothing to lose, no
right.
attachment to go. It was just like, oh my God, that's what I've been wanting this whole time. Like, where was that? Like, where was that? So yeah, it was really just kind of like the first chapter to the next, you know, book in terms of my career.
Of course. I'm sure a lot of us had that. And when you do finish competing, you do know that there's a different world compared to, competitive skating.
Yeah,
Even I, even I myself had to experience that as well,
yeah,
along with Willie B Tech Productions helped me on all that, and you were part of Willie B Tech as well.
totally. Love getting to do all of that. I mean, the ships were, um, there's no way to describe them until you do them. The good days are incredible and the bad days are terrible. It's just that's life. But Willie B Tech in general is just an incredible company, long-standing history of
Hmm.
amazing years and incredible shows.
And I would agree is that like skaters need to experience show skating because a lot of skaters do get discouraged on it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that it's important to maybe change the culture in terms of the commentary about show skating. Like, it can be the realization of a dream for people, especially people who, they enjoy the experience of skating. They enjoy the experience of performing. You get to recreate that over and over and over and over and over again and take different things from it each time and connect with different audiences. And it's, if you love to skate, show skating is maybe an even, more, the better way for you to go, ultimately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the best part is that there are no judges and there's only people who appreciate your hard work and.
Yeah.
All right. Also, so how are you doing during this pandemic at this moment?
It's been so weird, right? Like, what can you
Right.
do? I'm good. We were in the middle of a tour that we'd really kind of just gotten off the ground. Supernova was the new show for Holiday on Ice, and um, it was moving in a really good direction. We just started the French portion of the tour. We'd had an incredible opening week in Paris, and we'd done 2 other smaller cities in France when we kind of got the news about the pandemic. I mean, we knew it was happening, but we were like, okay, is this like, what's going on? Like, what are we gonna have to do? And then it was just like, boom, 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 everything's canceled, postponed, and everybody needs to get back to the States before the borders are closed. Like, we really didn't know if we were gonna be like put into a quarantine and like forced to sit in, like, it was like, we had no idea what was going on. So,
Right.
it was just abrupt. And for me, I came back straight to Nashville, which is my hometown, instead of going to New York City, because why go to New York City? It was just like, okay, so came back to Nashville and basically camped out for 6 or 7 weeks before realizing that, we kind of have to take some steps forward and get a plan B going and start thinking creatively, like, okay, what is it that I can do here to like not get depressed and not get down? And yeah, so it's been fine, just very much not what I expected that it would be. So
Of course. I mean, we all had to realize it's going to happen, and so we had to find a way to accept it and somehow, try to make it work.
totally, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been just like for me personally, I've been doing personal training school and working with NASM to like kind of get my education going with that, thinking about a business model, just getting my brain wrapped around other things that I'm interested in, keep myself sharp.
That's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
seriously. As a skater and a, show skater, we had to make things work. And, the best part about being a figure skater is that you do get up when you fall down.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
You
that's
gotta
the most
about
thing.
how like if I'm sitting on my butt, I can't just like stay here. What do I have to do? So that's
Mhm.
kind of it. It's like, all right, just keep moving and find a way.
Good. Good job. All right. Other than your business model and your education, any hobbies you took out of?
I mean, it's a lot. I always am like, I'm always running. I'm always listening to music and writing, tons of writing. That's been the big thing. I think there may be a book at some point coming. A little bit of, I'll come alive. A lot of
That's
little, yeah, just a lot of, of course, seeing a therapist, self-reflecting, all that's not really hobbies, but self-work, taking the time to check in with myself and be like, what are all these kind of things that are, I haven't really had a chance to get dealt with,
mm,
that I can work on in this time. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's self-discovery. You don't really have time when you're on the road all the time to like figure out what you love. You're running around living la vida loca, like going, doing this and that, and just like enjoying traveling. So yeah, it's figuring that out. Like, what is it that I really love to do, and what are the passions, and what are the things that are super important in life as far as making an impact here.
I'm glad that you're being positive about what the situation is, and that's all we can be at the moment.
Totally, totally.
Mhm. And let's go down to your skating life. So, where and when did you start skating?
So I started skating in Nashville in 1991, March of 1991. I was 5 years old, and uh, yeah, I remember watching Olympics when I was little bitty, like 2 and 3 years old. Brian Boitano was Olympic champion in 1988. I was like this little bitty child pointing at the TV like, oh, skate, I want to skate. And my parents were like, skate, like you're 2, you don't know what you're doing, whatever. So 3 years later, they finally took me put my feet on the ice, and I like got on and I could just ice skate. It was a natural thing. Like I always knew that I wanted to, and it was immediate, like obvious that I had a talent. And so we got into lessons and basically just like never looked back. Never, ever, ever.
That's good. It's
Yeah,
better not to look back so you can go forward.
ain't that the truth, right?
And from skating, how many times you've been to nationals? Because I always
First,
see you.
first one, junior nationals was 1997. So
Wow.
97, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, basically all the way to 2013. I mean, there were a couple in between, I think, that didn't happen, but I mean, 10, 12, 13 times, I don't know, a lot.
I have to say that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, thank Yeah, I feel like it's been just like a million lifetimes. Like my skating life has reinvented itself 3 or 4 times. And the way that I look at myself in each of those lives is different. Like it's like everything is, you grow up with it and you become an adult and you're a child with it from the beginning and before it's even yours. Like for me, I remember skating being like, a way to make myself feel worthy as a child. That's how, and it develops into this thing that's like, okay, like I have to take ownership of this and responsibility of this. Like, do I want this? And that's kind of that teenage thing. And then as an adult, it's like, okay, I really want to do this. What are the whys behind the wants? Like, what are these things? And so each kind of chapter has its own life with skating and relationship. I always call it like the longest relationship.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it's on and off.
Oh, for sure. It's very on and off.
It's kind of funny.
But relationships need rest, so that makes sense.
Oh yeah. That way you learn more about yourself outside of skating.
True.
Hmm. What did you learn outside of competitive skating though?
Um, in show skating, what do you
About
mean?
yourself, most likely. Like, what did you feel that you could challenge yourself with, and what did you tell yourself like what you can do?
Um, I think in competitive skating, you learn a lot about the importance of the process and the journey because with competitions, you train and you train and you train for this one moment, and if all of the means to get to the end aren't justified by that moment, like
Hmm.
I found that there's times where I've like won a competition or like skated the best I could, and all I felt was like relief. I didn't feel joy. And I found that like really the joy is found in the means. It's found in the process. It's found in the day to day. And competitive skating doesn't necessarily foster that mentality for a lot of people. I think it takes time to understand that like you have to find the joy in what you're doing on a daily basis, or else no matter how much success you have in that competition or that moment of glory, it's not going to be joy. Like it's going to be just a relief. So I think that's been one of the biggest things that I've taken away from my career in general is to like dig in and find a way to enjoy your life.
That's a good point. Like I've noticed a lot of skaters, even skating, not a lot of them seem like they're enjoying it. You see their face very stoic sometimes, but
Yeah,
then, but when I look around, I'm like, you guys are talented.
for
You
sure.
got you deserve to be here. You
I
know.
think a lot of it is just like they can't get out of their own mind. There's so many ideas about what they're supposed to be as a skater and the weight of potential and expectation, federation, and there's all this kind of heaviness on them. It's burdensome that you kind of lose sight of what you're actually doing. I think that's a very normal thing for competitive skaters to just kind of, especially as kids, most of them are young. They have no real identity or self outside of their success in the sport. And I think that plays a huge part in the lack of enjoyment, plays a huge part in those feelings of inadequacy or nothingness that can translate.
Right. Like there are times where people or sometimes coaches have to use different words, like say, instead of saying the word pressure,
Yeah,
just say something else, like,
yeah,
and there is a lot of that in the skating community, but at the same time, if you do succeed, you should, be nice to yourself about it.
totally. Like,
Yeah.
give yourself, hey, that was awesome. Like that, I take a moment, relish, say, amazing. Like, this is a wonderful thing that I've accomplished because I was doing something that I loved. Now, let's appreciate that and continue with our life and continue to do things that we love. I think, too, the other thing that can get really challenging is as you start to have success, then that it becomes the status quo of expectation. And that, each individual success can stand alone. It can be what it was, and you can enjoy that and give yourself that freedom to like not have it just say, okay, now the bar's been set higher, and like I can't enjoy this because I have to go here. You know, the thing with skating, as you know, is it takes a bit of an obsessive personality in order to be successful. You have to have that edge, but you have to also be able to harness that edge and balance it with, you know, life.
Right.
Being alive, integrated human in society, and someone that it has empathy and cares about things other than your own self and success.
Yeah, you have a good point. Obviously, there's more to life than skating. There's more
Yes,
to there's more to the person than just skating.
and there's more to life than being successful at skating.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Love,
yeah.
it's like breathing. Being away from skating for 3 months made me realize how much I love just to put my feet on the ice and let the music play and feel those edges and just explore. Like that in and of itself, it doesn't have to have the attachment of I'm Wesley Campbell, principal skater. It's like no, none of that really ultimately is what it is. Like what it is me with my feet on the ice. And so being able to get back on and feel that is it's a privilege and it's very telling of what it is that I care about.
Definitely, definitely. So, in all parts of skating, what's your favorite part about skating?
The artistic side, I think that as a show skater, it's become so um, experimental to
It,
take
it
the
is.
let it like allow working with Robin Cousins has been a dream. He's choreographed the last two shows that I've done, Atlantis and Supernova, and he has trusted me so much with some really challenging pieces of music that they're syncopated and they have these kind of it's just like no counts and this and that, and just like gives me that freedom to feel it and like decide where it's going. And
Mm-hmm.
so artistically, just channeling my own life experiences and emotion, and also like learning how to say, okay, that's enough. Like we can't put so much of that into that like we can't continue to live life without getting depressed because that's the whole thing. So I think for me, just that developing into ownership of my own art has been the most enjoyable and gratifying part of skating.
Awesome. Like I noticed, like whenever I skate to music or anyone skates to music, their genres are sometimes the same, but it's
Yeah,
because it works for them. But on show skating, they challenge you to different music.
totally. And different characters, like ownership of characters, and like what is this, being going through, and being an outcast or being alone, like being lonely or like being part of a group, or yeah, it's so interesting to like learn how to channel each kind of character into movement. You don't have words; you have to communicate otherwise. So it's a very interesting acting course.
Right? And you're being paid to act.
Totally.
Yeah. I remember I skated to classical music, then I became the bee on Explorer. It's skating to Prince. I'm like, this is
Ah,
different. I
I
was,
love that about the BTEC shows, though. They're so polarizing. Like sometimes you just are like, and Sylvia's great about those kinds of things. She likes to challenge people. And, that's
mhm.
for things. I think she really capitalized on a great opportunity to like make people get outside their comfort zone.
Yeah,
I learned so much from her and from
same.
the there. I mean, BTECs are brilliant.
Hi to Sylvia.
Hey, Sylvia. Thanks for everything.
She's always watching, you know.
Yeah, it's true. There.
All right. So tell me more about your story about coming out as, you know.
Yeah. So growing up in Nashville, the South, I was born in 1985 in the South, and to very, very conservative, religious background family. Um, super taboo. I grew up in a mega church, extremely Christian, extremely, in my opinion, as a young, undeveloped human, judgmental. I judged myself. I wasn't sure that like who I was on a fundamental level was okay. Uh, that was pretty traumatic. Yeah, it took probably till I was about 15 to recognize within myself, like, okay, like I can accept that I'm attracted to people of the same sex. Like it is what it is, and I have to accept that. Now, can I accept being able to talk about that? I'm not sure. Um, I think it was around 17 that things started to get more clear because I mean I was acting out. I was doing what I was, it was going to be what it was going to be, and I was experimenting with guys and with girls and things like what you do at 17, 18 years old. And I think the thing that was hard is that I did walk a line for a long time of bisexuality and am still not completely one or the other. So that has been very confusing for my parents, and for people in my life. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, we all are who we are. And when you are kind of pressured to define yourself by means of shame or guilt, which is what was self-imposed on myself, it became, so much more than just sexuality. It became identity. It became like, am I worthy? Am I good enough? Like, where can I find love? All of those kinds of things. And, it might have just been easier if it was like not made to be such a huge deal.
Right.
Yeah.
I can kind of identify what you're saying because I grew up with a Filipino family and our family was pretty conservative as well. Like I'm among the 30 grandchildren and our family's Catholic. But as time goes on, like, we do change. Like people do change. And, families can love each other no matter what. That's what makes them a family.
So true.
Yeah.
And yeah, with my family, it's been a journey. Like I think that when you learn that your parents, even if they are in some way demonstrating signs of disappointment or whatever, it all ultimately comes from love and wanting the best for you. Always, it really does. I mean, even if it's in their own, brokenness or woundedness or inadequacies or ideas of themselves of not being enough. Like it's like we're all human. And once we get to a certain place as adults, we can have these conversations. And for me, working with a therapist and talking about all these things, like you learn to kind of stand on your own and then speak to your parents as you would as a child, but as an adult, without the attachment of like, okay, like I have to take this personally and act out because it's like, no, I can work through this. And my parents they've made huge progress, and we have great relationships and with relationships in progress and in work, but in process. But yeah, I mean, it is a total journey.
Definitely. Like it does take a little step, just to get up to where you're gonna feel comfortable being around people who are gonna try to get comfortable with you. And
Yeah,
I realized like, everyone is going through the same thing. Like everyone is definitely not alone on this. Yeah. And what would you like to say to the young kids who are also feeling this way, like during their current circumstance?
be yourself, be honest, be kind to yourself, you know, and whenever something may hurt you, don't hurt yourself. don't hurt yourself. You know, who you are is enough, is more than enough. Um, and if there's some kind of shame or guilt, be honest. And then you'll find as you're honest and kind, that shame and guilt will dissipate. It's all this hiding and controlling and keeping things inside that fosters this turmoil. And that's what we want to avoid. Just
Right. We all have to be free at some point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And sorry. Okay. For the skaters who are also in a certain circumstance as well, and what's your experience being a gay skater and in figure skating?
There's a lot of us.
Yeah, there is a lot of us.
It's a family, you know, like, I mean, yeah, just my experience has been, I think that thank God I had skating and I had such a community of people that were open-minded and um, you know, not against me being whatever it is that I wanted to be. I think, you know, that's the thing about skating is it does kind of welcome you with open arms. It gives you an outlet and a place to be that, you know, is yours and you can decide what that path is that you want. So I think the community is, the world in general has shifted its perspective so much about gay, bi, trans, you know, all of this is like, people are people, and skating is a great and open-minded place for you to come and express yourself and be who you are. You know, and that's kind of the thing for me now that anytime I see somebody that's just like struggling with who they are, they could be straight. I don't know, like they can be anybody. But I just like I want to give them a hand and say, you know what, like be you, because we don't know how far we can push the envelope and how much we can do with this platform or with this vehicle of skating. You know, we don't know that it is limitless, and I think it, you know, is a great place for people to come and express themselves. So, you know, that's been my experience. Is it was a safe place for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've experienced a lot of discrimination amongst skating in competitions. I've seen it, you know, even though it's not seen. So, but it, you know, we want fairness.
Skating, skating's
Skate.
gonna always be objective. You know, competitive stuff is what it is. It's life. You know, we live in a world where no matter what situation you're in, there's going to be people with agendas that will use other people as pawns to further their agenda. And it can be a good thing or a bad thing for you. We've been on both sides of that. You know, I've been on sides where like I didn't deserve to be where I was and I was there, and there's been on sides where I, you know, kicked everybody's ass and got shit on. Bottom line, like, that's life, you know? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it works out either way.
Yeah, so true.
All right. And I'm really happy having this interview with you because I know how, you know, uplifting you are as a person as well. And I've seen it on your Instagram how you're a very positive person.
Trying.
We are all trying, of course. All right. If it weren't for skating, what would you be doing for the rest of your life?
That's the big question. You know, well, skating, it's just so integrated. I mean, the arts are, they're my life. I love music. I love choreography. You know, if it weren't for skating, though, I'm not totally sure what it is that I'd be doing. I have really developed a huge passion, like I said, for training, personal training. I have a huge passion for overall mental, physical, emotional health based on my own experiences. And so I'm really interested in creating a business in a place where people can work on their fitness kind of from the inside out. So I think it's what I'm probably most interested in is developing a fitness center that is less about, you know, coming there to achieve a certain look and more about you know, health from the inside out. You know, the other things that I'm interested in, of course, are choreography and, you know, creative side of shows. I've kind of been already in that mode of looking toward the future. And yeah, I think, you know, artistic directing, things like this are very in my future.
That's good to hear. Like seriously, you're like everyone has different talents, and you're definitely one of man of different talents.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Well, all I have to say is thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really cool, and look forward to seeing all the interviews you guys are doing. So I appreciate you, Chris.
No problem, Wesley. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us. And I
Yeah.
hope to see you soon. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.